In the year 2050, the world was basking in the glow of technological and medical advancements that had eradicated many of the diseases that once plagued humanity. It felt like nothing could go wrong in this new age of enlightenment. But, as history has shown time and again, nature has a way of humbling even the most confident among us. It began innocuously enough, as these things often do. Maria Lopez, a humble farmer in a remote village of San Pedro, deep in the South American jungles, was the first to fall ill. It started with a fever, nothing too out of the ordinary. But soon, her condition deteriorated alarmingly. Within days, she was bedridden, her body racked with tremors, her mind slipping into bouts of delirium and amnesia. Her family, desperate and frightened, took her to the local clinic, a modest establishment with limited resources. What started with Maria soon became an epidemic. The clinic, already stretched thin, was inundated with patients exhibiting the same terrifying symptoms. High fever, severe headaches, and confusion so profound that patients could no longer recognize their own families. Within a week, it was clear this was no ordinary illness. The virus spread rapidly, moving from household to household, and the once vibrant village of San Pedro was plunged into chaos. People barricaded themselves in their homes, but it was already too late. News of the outbreak spread as fast as the virus itself. Dubbed the San Pedro Plague by the media, the world watched in horror as the infection numbers climbed. The World Health Organization, WHO, declared an international emergency. Scientists, doctors, and researchers from across the globe were summoned to address the crisis. It was in this maelstrom that Dr. Eva Nguyen, a leading virologist renowned for her work on emerging infectious diseases, was called upon. Dr. Eva Nguyen was a name synonymous with brilliance and dedication in the world of virology. She had spent years studying viruses, often in the most challenging environments. Her reputation for being relentless and meticulous made her the perfect candidate to lead the investigation. Eva packed her bags and headed to the heart of the outbreak, determined to find answers where none seemed to exist. Arriving in San Pedro, Eva was greeted by a scene of utter devastation. The village was under quarantine, its streets eerily silent save for the occasional wail of an ambulance. Makeshift medical tents dotted the landscape, and the air was thick with a sense of dread. Eva and her team, a group of international experts, wasted no time. They began collecting samples, interviewing the afflicted, and documenting the progression of the disease. During her initial investigations, Eva noticed something peculiar. Despite the widespread nature of the virus, all the patients had one thing in common: recent visits to a particular area of the jungle. This was no coincidence. Eva, driven by a gut feeling, organized a small expedition into the dense foliage to uncover what might be lurking there. The journey into the jungle was arduous. Days of trekking brought them to a hidden cave, a place that seemed almost untouched by time. Inside, the team found bioluminescent fungi clinging to the walls, casting an eerie glow. The air was thick with spores, and the ground littered with the remains of animals that had succumbed to the same symptoms plaguing the villagers. It was a grim scene, but it was also the clue Eva had been looking for. She hypothesized that the cave and its fungi were the source of the virus. Realizing the gravity of their discovery, Eva sent samples of the fungi and soil back to her lab with the utmost urgency. She knew that the clock was ticking. If the virus had spread from this remote village, it was only a matter of time before it reached more populated areas. Containment measures were immediately recommended, including sealing off the cave and its surroundings. Back at her state-of-the-art lab, Eva and her team worked tirelessly, dissecting the samples and running countless tests. What they found was nothing short of terrifying. The virus was a marvel of nature's dark side. It could integrate itself into the host's DNA, making it incredibly difficult to combat with existing antiviral drugs. This adaptability meant the virus could potentially evolve faster than they could develop a cure. The world watched and waited as Dr. Eva Nguyen embarked on what could be the most crucial mission of her career. The stakes were unimaginably high, and the weight of the world seemed to rest on her shoulders. In this race against time, failure was not an option. The fate of humanity depended on it. Dr. Eva Nguyen, renowned for her work in virology, found herself thrust into the eye of a storm. The world was watching, and the pressure was immense. But Eva, with her characteristic determination and steely resolve, was undeterred. She knew the stakes were high and that she had to act swiftly and decisively. Upon her return from the jungle, Eva set up a command center in San Pedro. This became the nerve center for the global effort to combat the virus. Scientists, epidemiologists, and medical professionals from around the world converged here, turning the small village into a bustling hub of activity. Satellite uplinks and state-of-the-art communication systems were installed to ensure seamless coordination with labs and agencies globally. One of the first tasks was to trace the origin of the outbreak. Through meticulous interviews and data collection, Eva and her team identified Maria Lopez as patient zero. This was crucial in understanding how the virus made its initial leap from the environment to humans. By retracing Maria's steps, they hoped to find more clues about the virus's transmission and potential vulnerabilities. Eva's hypothesis about the cave's fungi being the virus's source had to be validated. She organized a second, more comprehensive expedition into the jungle, this time with a larger team of specialists. They collected extensive samples of fungi, soil, and water, documenting everything with precision. Environmental experts analyzed the ecosystem, looking for any changes that might have facilitated the virus's emergence. Back in her high-tech lab, Eva and her team began the painstaking process of analyzing the samples. The virus, now named Virus X, displayed characteristics unlike any known pathogen. It had a unique ability to integrate into the host's DNA, which explained the severe neurological symptoms. The team sequenced the virus's genome, hoping to find a weakness they could exploit. As the days turned into weeks, pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The virus appeared to have mutated from a benign fungus spore, possibly due to environmental changes or human activity. This mutation allowed it to jump species and infect humans. The team also discovered that the virus had a latency period, during which it could remain dormant in the host before manifesting symptoms. This made it even more dangerous, as carriers could unknowingly spread the virus far and wide. Eva knew that combating Virus X required a coordinated global response. She reached out to her network of colleagues across continents, sharing her findings and collaborating on potential solutions. Researchers in Europe focused on vaccine development, while labs in Asia worked on antiviral drugs. The WHO provided logistical support, ensuring that resources were allocated where they were needed most. During one of their late-night sessions, Eva's team stumbled upon a potential breakthrough. A protein in the virus's structure seemed to play a crucial role in its ability to hijack human cells. Targeting this protein could be the key to stopping the virus. Excitement and cautious optimism spread through the lab. This was the first real glimmer of hope in their fight against the seemingly invincible pathogen. However, progress was not without its setbacks. Initial attempts to develop a treatment targeting the protein met with mixed results. Some compounds showed promise in vitro but failed in animal trials. Morale fluctuated as the team faced the harsh realities of scientific research. Each failure, though disheartening, provided valuable data that refined their approach. Amidst the scientific rigor, Eva never lost sight of the human element. She regularly visited the quarantine zones, speaking with patients and their families. These interactions fueled her resolve. She saw the fear in their eyes but also the trust they placed in her and her team. This personal connection to the suffering caused by Virus X added an emotional weight to her mission. Every day, the virus spread further. Reports of new outbreaks in different parts of the world came in regularly. Governments imposed travel bans and quarantines, but containment was becoming increasingly difficult. The world was on edge, and the clock was ticking. Eva knew they were in a race against time, and losing was not an option. Despite the challenges, the global scientific community stood united. Eva's leadership and the collaborative spirit of her colleagues forged a path forward. Together, they pooled their knowledge, resources, and determination. The fight against Virus X became a testament to human resilience and ingenuity. The investigation was far from over, but Eva and her team had made significant strides. The foundation was laid, and the world was ready to tackle the next phase of this unprecedented battle. The fate of humanity hinged on their ability to turn scientific discovery into practical solutions. And with every passing day, they moved closer to unlocking the secrets of Virus X. As the days turned into weeks, the situation grew increasingly dire. Virus X had breached quarantine zones and was spreading globally at an alarming rate. Major cities in Europe, Asia, and North America reported surges in cases. Hospitals were overwhelmed, and governments were scrambling to respond. Panic gripped the world as people witnessed the devastating effects of the virus firsthand. Dr. Eva Nguyen felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Her days were a blur of research, meetings, and emergency briefings. Despite the mounting pressure, her resolve remained unshaken. She knew that the key to stopping Virus X lay in understanding its unique properties and finding a way to neutralize them. The initial excitement over the potential breakthrough had tempered, replaced by the grueling reality of scientific discovery. One late night, Eva's team made a crucial discovery. They identified a protein, which they named PX1, that played a central role in the virus's ability to integrate into human DNA. This protein was unlike anything they had encountered before, but it provided a clear target for potential treatments. The team immediately began working on developing inhibitors that could block PX1 and prevent the virus from replicating. As progress continued in the lab, the world outside grew more chaotic. In a desperate move, a terrorist organization attempted to exploit the situation by attacking a major research facility, hoping to steal samples of Virus X for their own nefarious purposes. During the assault, Dr. David Martinez, a close colleague and friend of Eva, heroically defended the facility. He managed to secure the samples but was gravely injured in the process. His sacrifice was a devastating blow to the team, but also galvanized their determination to succeed. With renewed urgency, Eva and her team pushed forward with testing the PX1 inhibitors. Early trials in animal models showed promising results, but translating these findings into human treatments was fraught with challenges. Regulatory hurdles, limited resources, and the need for rapid development created a tense and high-stakes environment. Every step forward was met with new obstacles, but the team persevered. Amidst the scientific battle, Eva understood the importance of clear and honest communication with the public. She regularly held press conferences, providing updates on their progress and the challenges they faced. Her calm and authoritative presence reassured many, but the growing impatience and fear were palpable. People wanted answers, and they wanted them fast. Just as hope began to build, the team faced a dire setback. One of the most promising inhibitors, PX1b, failed in late-stage trials. The virus had mutated, rendering the inhibitor ineffective. This blow sent shockwaves through the scientific community and the public alike. Confidence wavered, and the specter of failure loomed large. Eva, though shaken, refused to give up. She knew that science was a marathon, not a sprint, and setbacks were part of the journey. Eva decided to shift focus slightly. Instead of solely targeting PX1, the team began exploring a multi-pronged approach, combining several inhibitors to prevent the virus from adapting. This strategy, though complex, offered a higher likelihood of success. Collaboration with international labs intensified, and the sharing of data and resources became a lifeline in their collective effort. Throughout this ordeal, stories of human resilience and solidarity emerged. Communities came together to support one another. Frontline workers tirelessly cared for the sick, and volunteers assisted in countless ways. These acts of kindness and courage reminded everyone of the strength of the human spirit. Eva drew inspiration from these stories, fueling her relentless pursuit of a solution. As the multi-pronged approach began to show promise in preliminary tests, the team approached a tipping point. The next phase involved rapid manufacturing and distribution, a logistical nightmare but one they were prepared to tackle. Governments pledged support, and pharmaceutical companies ramped up production capabilities. The world held its breath, hoping that this would be the breakthrough they desperately needed. The first batch of the new treatment, a combination therapy targeting multiple viral proteins, was ready for human trials. Eva's heart pounded as she oversaw the administration of the treatment to a group of critically ill patients. The following days were tense, with the team monitoring every variable, every reaction. Slowly but surely, signs of improvement emerged. Patients began to stabilize, and the virus's progression was halted. The success of the trials brought immense relief and joy, but it was bittersweet. The victory was marred by the memory of those who had sacrificed so much, including David. Eva made sure to honor his memory and the countless others who had suffered. She knew that their work was far from over. The virus had been halted, but the journey to full eradication and prevention of future outbreaks continued. With the treatment proving effective, production and distribution ramped up on a global scale. Governments coordinated to ensure that even the most remote and vulnerable populations received the life-saving therapy. The world slowly began to recover, and the fear that had gripped humanity started to fade. As the dust settled, the world emerged stronger and more united. The battle against Virus X had revealed vulnerabilities but also highlighted the incredible potential of human ingenuity and collaboration. Dr. Eva Nguyen became a symbol of hope and resilience, her name etched in history as one of the heroes who led humanity through one of its darkest times. The drama had escalated to unimaginable heights, but in the end, it was the collective effort and indomitable spirit of people that triumphed. The legacy of Virus X served as a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of unity in the face of adversity. As the new treatment began to show promise, the world held its breath. Governments coordinated to fast-track approval processes, and pharmaceutical companies worked around the clock to scale up production. But as the urgency increased, so did the pressure. Resources were stretched thin and tensions ran high. Eva knew that any misstep could cost countless lives. Eva spearheaded the global coordination efforts, leveraging her extensive network. She worked closely with international health organizations, governments, and private sectors to ensure a smooth distribution of the treatment. Logistic challenges were monumental, with considerations for transportation, storage, and equitable distribution. The race to get the treatment to every corner of the globe was on, and there was no room for error. With the first batches of the treatment ready, Eva oversaw its deployment in some of the hardest-hit areas. She traveled to various regions, from densely populated cities to remote villages, ensuring that the rollout was efficient and effective. Witnessing the relief and gratitude of the recipients reaffirmed her commitment, even as exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her. In one particularly critical instance, a large shipment of the treatment destined for an epidemic hotspot was delayed due to bureaucratic red tape. Eva personally intervened, cutting through the red tape and ensuring the shipment was expedited. Her decisive actions saved thousands of lives, but they also drew criticism from some quarters, highlighting the delicate balance between urgency and protocol. Meanwhile, large-scale human trials continued in various locations. The initial success in controlled environments needed to be replicated on a broader scale. Eva and her team meticulously monitored these trials, analyzing data in real time. The treatment's efficacy varied among different populations, necessitating adjustments and continuous improvement. Eva's relentless dedication came at a personal cost. She spent countless hours away from her family, missed significant personal milestones, and bore the weight of the world's expectations. Her family, understanding the gravity of her mission, supported her from afar. These sacrifices, though painful, were a testament to her unwavering commitment to humanity's survival. Amidst the challenges, a breakthrough occurred. The multi-pronged treatment approach, combining several inhibitors, not only halted the virus's replication but also showed signs of reversing some of the damage caused by the infection. This development was nothing short of miraculous. The global scientific community hailed it as a turning point, and the news brought a wave of hope and relief. The climax of the battle against Virus X reached its peak when a sudden surge of cases threatened to overwhelm the healthcare system in a major metropolis. The virus had mutated again, albeit slightly, challenging the effectiveness of the treatment. Eva and her team worked around the clock, tweaking the treatment protocol and deploying emergency measures. In a desperate gamble, Eva decided to test an experimental booster to the treatment, designed to counteract the latest mutation. The booster had shown promise in preliminary studies but had not undergone extensive testing. Time was of the essence and the risk was high. With the lives of thousands hanging in the balance, Eva authorized its use. The gamble paid off. The booster worked, stabilizing patients and preventing further spread. The immediate crisis was averted, and for the first time, there was a tangible sense that the tide was turning. Eva's decisive actions and the tireless efforts of her team had made the difference. As the immediate threat began to recede, Eva took a moment to reflect. The journey had been arduous, marked by sacrifice, loss, and relentless determination. She thought of David, whose sacrifice had not been in vain, and the countless others who had suffered and fought bravely. Their memories fueled her resolve to see the fight through to the end. The success of the treatment was a collective victory. It was the result of global collaboration, scientific ingenuity, and human resilience. The pandemic had exposed vulnerabilities but had also demonstrated the incredible capacity of humanity to unite in the face of a common threat. With the virus under control, the focus shifted to rebuilding and preparing for the future. Eva advocated for stronger global health systems, better preparedness, and continued research to prevent such a crisis from occurring again. Her voice carried weight, and her recommendations were heeded by world leaders. As the world began to heal, Eva returned home, finally reuniting with her family. The experience had changed her, deepening her appreciation for life and strengthening her resolve to continue her work. She knew that the battle against disease was far from over, but she also knew that humanity had the strength and resilience to overcome any challenge. The legacy of Virus X was one of caution and hope. It served as a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of unity. Dr. Eva Nguyen's name became synonymous with courage and perseverance, her story a beacon of light in a dark time. The world had faced a formidable enemy and emerged stronger, more united, and better prepared for the future. The climax of the battle against Virus X was a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. In the face of unprecedented adversity, people from all walks of life came together, fought valiantly, and ultimately triumphed. The future, though uncertain, was filled with hope and the promise of a better, more resilient world. As the immediate threat of Virus X receded, the world took stock of the profound changes wrought by the pandemic. Entire societies had been reshaped by the crisis, and the scars, both physical and psychological, would take time to heal. Dr. Eva Nguyen, having returned from the front lines of the battle, found herself at the center of the global effort to rebuild and learn from the harrowing ordeal. The first order of business was to address the weaknesses in global health systems that the virus had so starkly revealed. Eva, now a trusted advisor to international health organizations, advocated for a comprehensive overhaul. She pushed for increased funding for public health infrastructure, better training for healthcare workers, and the establishment of rapid response teams that could be deployed in future outbreaks. Recognizing the importance of public awareness, Eva spearheaded global educational campaigns about infectious diseases, hygiene, and vaccination. She collaborated with governments, NGOs, and media outlets to disseminate accurate information and combat misinformation. These campaigns aimed to empower individuals with knowledge, ensuring that communities were better prepared and more resilient. The psychological toll of the pandemic was immense. Eva worked closely with mental health professionals to address the widespread trauma. Programs were established to provide counseling and support for those affected by the virus, including frontline workers who had witnessed unimaginable suffering. Healing the mind was just as crucial as healing the body, and this holistic approach was a cornerstone of the recovery efforts. The scientific community, energized by the battle against Virus X, continued to innovate. Eva led a consortium of researchers dedicated to studying the virus in depth, understanding its mutations, and developing new treatments and vaccines. This research not only aimed to prevent a resurgence of Virus X but also to prepare for potential future pandemics. The world had learned a harsh lesson, and Eva was determined to ensure that humanity would never be caught off guard again. The pandemic had also dealt a severe blow to the global economy. Eva worked with economists and policymakers to develop strategies for economic recovery. These plans focused on supporting small businesses, rebuilding supply chains, and creating jobs in the healthcare sector. Special attention was given to vulnerable populations, ensuring that recovery efforts were inclusive and equitable. One of the most remarkable outcomes of the pandemic was the sense of global solidarity it had fostered. Countries that had once been divided by political and economic differences found common ground in their fight against virus X. This spirit of cooperation extended into the recovery phase, with nations sharing resources, expertise, and best practices. Eva played a crucial role in maintaining these bonds, emphasizing the importance of unity in the face of global challenges. On a personal level, Eva took time to reflect on her journey. The intense pressure and relentless pace had taken a toll on her, but it had also brought out the best in her. She reconnected with her family, cherishing the moments she had missed during the crisis. These personal connections provided a source of strength and motivation, reminding her of the importance of her work. Eva made it a point to honor those who had fallen during the pandemic. Memorials were established to remember the victims, including her dear friend Dr. David Martinez. These memorials served as places of reflection and healing, ensuring that the sacrifices made were never forgotten. Eva also set up scholarships in David's name, supporting young scientists dedicated to virology and infectious disease research. With the immediate crisis behind her, Eva turned her attention to the future. She continued to advocate for policies that would strengthen global health security. She worked on building networks of scientists, policymakers, and healthcare workers dedicated to preventing and mitigating future pandemics. Her vision was clear: a world where no one had to endure the fear and suffering that virus X had caused. Dr. Eva Nguyen's legacy was one of hope, resilience, and unwavering dedication. Her leadership had guided the world through its darkest hours, and her efforts were instrumental in shaping a better, more prepared future. As the world healed and rebuilt, Eva's story inspired countless individuals to contribute to the common good, fostering a sense of global citizenship and responsibility. Years after the outbreak of virus X, the world had changed profoundly. New health policies were in place, communities were better prepared, and the global health system was more robust. The scars of the pandemic remained, but they served as reminders of what humanity could overcome when united. Eva, now a revered figure in the scientific community, continued her work with the same passion and determination. She traveled the world, sharing her experiences and knowledge, mentoring the next generation of scientists and health workers. Her story, one of courage and compassion, was a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit. The world moved forward, forever changed but wiser and more resilient. And at the heart of this transformation was Dr. Eva Nguyen, whose name would be remembered not just as a hero of the pandemic, but as a beacon of hope for generations to come.